I'm here with George Rush St-Pierre, who's making his return to combat sports. Is that fair to say?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a combat sport.
Here, can I get you to hold your mic closer? So
Oh, yeah.
I had this whole thing happening yesterday.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're Rodriguez. I'm here with George Rush St-Pierre, who makes his return to the combat sports world. Towards the end of the year in December, the UFC does their Fight Pass Invitational. It's a grappling tournament, and you've decided to return to combat sports.
Yeah, combat sport, professional submission wrestling, jiu-jitsu. And December 14 on UFC UFC Fight Pass Invitational. I'm very excited.
I want to ask you about your nerves about this, because you've talked very openly about your nerves going into competition. Was the nerves in terms of mixed martial arts about getting hurt and suffering brain damage, and for a grappling tournament you won't have those same nerves, or do you believe that it's just the idea of competition makes you nervous?
I think I will be having the same nerves. Maybe it will be more focused near the day of the competition, I believe, because I remember when I used to fight, I was nervous all the time. I had stress. I do feel a stress, but not an unpleasant stress. I know the outcome of a loss. It could be bad. I could have my arm broken or my legs. It could be very bad. It's a serious competition. It's still combat sport, but because there's no strike, you don't have brain damage, and it changes a little bit my perspective. But it's a very serious competition. I'm gonna do the best I can, prepare myself the best I can, because it will have an effect on my legacy for sure.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because I was watching the press conference and you said it'll have an effect on your legacy, and I just feel like that's you putting pressure on yourself. I don't think that if you lose in a grappling match, people are going to say, well, George is not a top 3 mixed martial artist anymore.
I don't care. I'm not coming to lose. I'm coming to win, guys. You remember that.
Is that what you feel, though? You feel like you're almost putting that pressure on yourself, where this fight, it's almost in your mind, it will have that kind of impact on your legacy if you lose. So you have to put that kind of pressure on yourself.
Yeah, I'm at my best when I'm competing under pressure, and it's a very serious competition for me. I'm a very competitive person, and I believe you need to be competitive if you want to be the best in the world at something. And this is the nature of who I am. I am very competitive, and I'm taking this extremely seriously. And I'm sure that's what my fans want. They want to see me come back at my best, and that's what I'm going to give them.
What kind of an opponent do you think you're going to end up with?
I have a lot of options. There's a lot of names that circulate this morning when I met the UFC staffs. There's a lot of options. I'm going to look at it with the UFC, see what makes the most sense. And for sure, I feel that it needs to be someone who fought in MMA or who is fighting in MMA right now. I will not take on, for example, someone who's only specialized in submission wrestling because of the nature of it. Because it's a very specialized sport. I will need to take times to gain some experience in it, but I do believe it will be best for the fans and for the UFC if I go and take on a formidable opponent who is a fighter in the UFC, who was a fighter in the UFC.
I've got a name for you. Do you want to guess who I'm going to say?
Go ahead.
Give me a guess. I don't know. I'm
Anderson Silva, Nick Diaz, Khabib.
I was going to say
Kamaru Usman. Yeah, it could be.
I think that would be something that...
It could be. It could be. Yeah. I mean, it has to be both ways, It also depends on the athlete, what stage of their life they are. If they're focusing on an upcoming title fights, maybe won't be a good idea for them to compete into grappling. But I can't speak for him. There's a lot of options.
Do you feel different now that this has been announced?
No, I feel good. I feel I have pressure, but I'm at my best when I compete under pressure. So I do want to feel the pressure. The things, though, is because I'm 42 and I have more important things in my life now than trying to be the strongest man in the world. And now I have more important things than trying to be the best grappler in the world. I'm aware that the risks are to a minimum because of the nature of the sport, but it's still very serious competition, and I'm taking it very, very seriously.
What are those things? What are the most important things for George St-Pierre right now?
There's things, my businesses, family. There's a lot of things. I'm very happy. I kept always my private life private, and I will continue to do so because I live in a crazy industry. But like I'm 42 now, and when I was young, I remember I was a different person. I would have done anything to be champion. Anything. If a door was closed, I was going to take another door, and if all the doors were closed, I would have break through the door, and I was ready to do anything. I had time to commit myself 100% into this. I wanted to destroy everybody. I was a completely different person. I've changed since then, but I love the adrenaline of competition.
Hall of Famous tonight. Rory McDonald's getting in, but he's not here. So are you going to be doing his induction speech?
Yeah, I mean, if he needs me, I will for sure. Rory was a great friend. He's a great friend and a training partner. And I'm glad that he received this great honor, and he deserved it 100%. My career would not have been the same without Rory. He helped me a lot through many training camp, many preparation, and I tried to do my best to help him as well.
Do you remember watching Rory versus Robbie?
Oh, yeah.
How were you feeling when you were watching that?
I was at a friend's house in Miami, and I was I was standing up. I couldn't sit down. It was insane. It went back and forth. As good the fight was, my heart was broken at the end because of the outcome of it and how much damage they took. But it's a fight that was like, wow, one of the best fight I ever seen.
Are you able to kind of remove yourself when you're watching a fight like that from your friendship with Rory, or are you feeling really bad every time he's taking these big shots throughout that fight?
I'm the kind of guy I am. When I have a friend who is fighting, I'm very emotionally. I'm very involved into it. Like I feel very connected, and it's hard for me because of the nature of who I am to remove myself from it. So when Rory was fighting, or any of my friend is fighting, I feel always on the edge of my seat.
Who do you think is the best pound for pound fighter right now? I'm not gonna, everybody looks at resumes and stuff like that, but if you were to take skill for skill, a fighter that you could put into any weight class's body, like if you took Volkanovski and made him heavyweight, or John Jones and made him a flyweight, today, who do you think is the best pound for pound fighter in the world?
I think you just said the two names. Volkanovski, he's right now. I think it's Volkanovski. He's in his prime right now. I think he's the best pound for pound. John Jones is one of them as well. He just, the way he beat Cyril Gane was just amazing. These are the two guys I'll say they're the best pound for pound right now. But I feel that because Jones just came back, but he might still be in his prime. Like we thought because of he took a long time off, he wasn't, but he was. It was amazing. What he did was just amazing. People don't realize how hard it is to come back. I think it was three years, and then he came back, disposed of Cyril Gane like this. It was amazing. And but Volkanovski right now is on a tear. He's fighting on a regular basis, and he just came out of an incredible match when he fought Islam Makhachev, and he could have won that fight. It was a very, very tight fight. He could have gone either way, and for that's why I believe he's the best pound for pound right now.
I think he's starting to get into that upper echelon. I was talking to Dana White about this like 20 minutes ago, where yourself, John Jones, Anderson, these are the fighters that beat generations of contenders. Like you beat the first generation of contenders, the Matt Hugheses of the world. Then you moved on to the younger fighters, the up-and-coming fighters, and beat them. I think Anderson did the same. John did the same. I think Yair Rodriguez is the first of those tests for Volkanovski. Like he's beaten Holloway, Mendez, Ortega, a lot of the older contenders. This is a fresh contender, and I think that's what's going to get him into the George St-Pierre tier of fighters.
Yeah, I believe. Like you mentioned, like I don't want to sound arrogant, but I believe to be among the best of all time, consider some of the best of all time. What they have done in common is they beat the previous generation, they beat their own generation, and they beat the future one. And Anderson Silva have done the same thing. He's going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. He did it. He beat the previous, his, and the next one, and now Wakanovsky had the chance to do the same thing, and we'll see what's gonna happen Saturday. So very excited.
I'm not sure if you've ever revealed this. What's the most nervous or scared you've ever been before a fight where you were like, I need to. I know there were times where you said you wanted to leave the arena, but is there one fight in particular where you were like, I don't know how I'm going to do this? And whether it was the lead up or night of.
The fight that I was the most nervous, the most scared was against Matt Hughes. The first time I had a title shot, I was fighting Matt Hughes. I tried to go through every scenario in my mind, and I couldn't see myself winning the fight. So that's why when I did the stare down with him, I couldn't look at him in the eyes. I put him on a pedestal. He's a human being, and I made a mistake. And when I lost that fight, I've learned a lot. That's why I came back after, and when I beat Matt Hughes, because I wasn't the same guy. I was physically, I got better, but what made the big difference is mentally. I gained a lot of confidence from that loss. And I think a lot of fighters lose sometimes, but it's either when you lose, you can get crushed and crumble, or you can learn and improve. And every loss I had, I felt like I had 2 losses. I felt that it made me improve a lot.
Yeah, the Matt Serra fight was the one right after that, right?
Yes, Matt Serra was a different story. I was the new kids on the block. I was the, everybody was telling me how great I was, and I was not feeling the threat as much as I should have. Matt Serra is maybe the only fight that I slept well before. I had a great night of sleep, and I lost.
You put yourself on a pedestal that time.
I got TKO'd. So now I know after that, it's important that I don't sleep well before a fight. That's when I perform at my best. I need to feel the stress, to feel the fear. And I realize that now. And I remember when I was young, I thought that over time, the stress will go away, and the experience will take over, and I will feel more comfortable. But I realized that I was wrong. That stress always get worse because every fight is bigger than the previous one. And I know also that that's how I perform at my best, so I accept it. So you have to take the stress, take the fear, and use it as a positive thing. Some people, the stress can make them crumble, but I use it to enhance my power, my reaction time, my preparation, my motivation.
Final question for you, and I've taken up way too much of your time. I really appreciate it. You recently grappled with or trained with Elon Musk, which I'm sure for you was a really probably a surreal experience. If he were to face Mark Zuckerberg in a cage match, what does that look like in your mind? And also, what was that experience like for you?
It was a great experience. I had a lot of fun with Elon. He's someone that I really, really admire for all his accomplishment and all the ideas that he stands for. We trained together, and what I can say is that he is much stronger than the average man, and he is very tough. He had a judo background, and we know from his history, when he fixed his goal, he's unstoppable, and this is a quality of a very good fighter. If you take that into fighting, this is the most important thing, because in combat, things are not always easy as you expect. There's always obstacle. I don't know if this fight gonna happen. I let him know that if he needs me, I will be there for him. It would be an honor. However, that there's a part of me that hope that this thing get resolved in a different way, because people don't realize, like, a man like Elon Musk is extremely busy. Most of his time is dedicated to work on things that changes the fate of humanity. And if he decide to get himself ready for something like this, that means he's gonna have to take time out of his schedule to do it. And I believe it's too important. I believe what he does now, the things that he works on, are more important than fighting in a cage. And I could lie and trying to take advantage of the situation, but that's not who I am. I'm trying to be as honest as I can. Even though I think he could do it, I hope this thing get resolved in a different way. Sorry, I just drop a cold shower on you guys.
Yeah. I'm glad Dana White's not still here. I spoke to him 30 minutes ago. He's like, "Oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna make $1 billion. It's gonna be so
What
much
the
fun."
hell is he saying? I'm trying to promote a fight here.
But you're on Team Elon Musk. You're not on Zuckerberg's team. You're not getting threads.
I'm with Elon. And if I'm gonna have to go to Austin on a regular basis in the next few months, and he knows he has my number, and if he needs me, I will be honored to help him if he decides to do so.
All right, George. It's always a pleasure catching up with you. Thanks so much for doing this.